Okay everyone, so this is the beginning of a tutorial showing some useful tools that you can download to help you set up your Raspberry Pi. One of the tools is the SD card formatter, and the other one, which is actually essential, is the Raspberry Pi Imager from raspberrypi.org. But let's look for the SD card formatter first. And there you go, I just found it. The link is sdcard.org. And why do I need this tool? Well, I like to use it every time I get a new SD card, just to make sure that it's in the right format for Raspberry Pi. I run a overwrite using this tool, and it works really well. It's something that I would not do like frequently, only if I need like a complete reset on the card. But it's something that I find pretty safe in terms of doing at the beginning of the process, at the beginning of setting up the Raspberry Pi. So I'm going to look for the card formatter, and I'm going to be working on a Mac right now, and so I'll be looking for the Mac version of it, and I'll be looking for the latest version of it, which is the Catalina version. Once I find the link to the Catalina, I can actually download the tool. If you're working on a Windows, you can do this on a Windows as well. So it has some terms and agreements. I will accept it. And then I have the option to download the SD card formatter. I'll save it and open. Now it's downloading. I actually already have this tool installed in my system, so for me it's really not necessary to install it again. I'm just going through this process to show you what it takes. All right, so it's been downloaded, and I have installed it in my system. I moved the app to my applications folder, and now it's running. I have at the dock, at the bottom of the screen here, you can see I have the link to it, the icon that links to it. So I have the SD card formatter installed. So the second piece that I'll need to set up my Raspberry Pi is the Raspberry Pi operating system. And in order to get that done, I will be using a tool that is provided by Raspberry Pi themselves, and it's the Imager. So for me to get that, I will go to raspberrypi.org, and then I'll look for the software session, and I'll look for the Raspberry Pi OS, as in operating system. Now, it used to be called, it had a different name before. Before it used to be called Raspbian, which is actually a pretty cool name. I like it way better than Raspberry Pi OS, but maybe, who knows, this is like some kind of emotional attachment to something that I experienced before, and I thought it was just cooler sounding. Okay, after clicking on the software section, I'm here in the page that allows me to download different versions of the OS. And it's kind of interesting to look at the bottom of it. You'll see that it actually runs a few different operating systems like Ubuntu. You can set up a Ubuntu server. It also has this fun emulator, video game emulator, RetroPie, which is something I'm saving for a bonus episode later. I'll show you what it is. For us today, the easiest thing and the kind of an awesome thing that they added to the workflow is the Raspberry Pi Imager. And so I have the chance to download this, which is like a little application that it's all kind of self-sufficient in terms of burning the necessary operating system onto a card. And so I'll download that. That'll be my choice. So I'll download the Raspberry Pi OS 32-bit. Click on that link, and then on the first link at the top, and then I'll save that file. So now it's downloading as well, so I should be able to see here my download and monitor it. It looks like it's going to take about 4 minutes to download it. But of course, I already have downloaded the imager, and I have it installed in my iMac. I'm running an iMac, just so you know, and I have also set up the link to the imager on my dock, so I can access the imager from there. So what do I do next? Well, what I'll do is I'm going to take my micro SD card, and you should have one that you bought yourself, or maybe you had it at your home. I have a 32 gigabyte micro SD card, and I have it plugged into my adapter. So the adapter has a USB port, so this will make it easy for me just to plug this on my iMac, and then I'll be able to burn, I'll be able to format first using the SD memory card formatter, and then I'll be able to burn the OS, which is the Raspberry Pi OS, the operating system, into it after. All right, so let's see. I'm at the desktop here. I'm gonna plug the adapter with the SD card. Just plug that on the back of my iMac, and you see I have it showing up there. That is my disk. I have called it boot before because I used it for booting, for like a system reboot. So I'm gonna open the formatter first, just to do a formatting of my micro SD. So imagine that I just bought my micro SD. I've put it in the adapter, and then I plug it onto my computer. Then what I can do is, I'm going to be formatting it, make sure that it's in the right format for Raspberry Pi. And the right format could be SDHC, and is what you see here actually showing. This is the application, the formatter application running. Or it could also be formatted as a FAT32, FAT32. So I'll be selecting the card, and it's already detected it, so it's showing here. So it shows as generic storage device media, disk 3. So that's what it is there. It shows the capacity, which is 31.91 gigabytes. So yeah, I have a micro SD card with 32 gigabytes of space, and it gives me options for formatting, and I can choose either quick format or override format. I'm going to choose override, so it gives me a more complete formatting. It takes a little longer. It's not the quick one. So also I will be choosing a name for this volume. So I'll be creating a label for it. Before I had called it a boot. I'm going to call this a reboot. One thing also to keep in mind is that once you choose override format, it gives you a more proper formatting for the first time you do this, but also takes a little longer. So depending on how much gigabytes you have in your card, this could take a while. But let's go ahead and click in format. So it's going to ask me, formatting will erase all data on this card. Do you want to continue? Yes, I am sure. I want to continue. Let's burn this thing, or format this thing. It's actually erasing everything that's in there. It's asking me for my password. Just say okay, put the password, and then now, and it's just started. It's at 1%. This should take a little while. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let this run. Once it's done, I'll be back here in the same video, and then I'll continue with the second part, which is the Raspberry Pi Imager for installing the operating system into this same micro SD card. I'll see you in a little bit. All right, friends, so this is exciting. So look, the SD card is formatted. I have it here. It's called Reboot. And so I'm ready to go to the next step, which is to run the Raspberry Pi Imager. So I'm gonna click on it so I have it easily accessible on my dock. And this is basically a three-step thing. Step 1, choose the operating system. Step 2, choose the SD card. And then step 3, write. So I'm going to choose the OS first. And I'm going to choose Raspberry Pi OS 32-bit. First option. SD card, choose the SD card. In my case, it's the generic storage device media, 32 gigabytes, a little bit less, just give or take. And it's called Reboot, and that's my guy over there. And then I'm going to choose write. Once I start doing that, it's going to say all existing data on generic storage device will be erased. Well, I have nothing in there really, but thanks for the advice. Are you sure you want to continue? And I'll say yes. So now I'll take put my password, and then sorry, forgot my password. Okay. And now it's writing. All right. So this will also take a little bit of time, not as much as the SD card formatter before, but well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait here, let it go through its process, and then I'll come back once it's done. So I'll see you in a little while. Sweet, my Raspberry Pi Imager has done its thing, and I have a successfully written Raspberry Pi OS on this SD card. Amazing. Now I can remove the SD card from the reader and then plug it onto my Raspberry Pi board. So this is really exciting. I'm gonna finish this process here. So I'm gonna say continue. Close the imager, I don't need you anymore, and then I should be actually good to move on to the next step. So when I see you again in this tutorial, I'm not going to be, well, you're not going to be looking at my iMac screen. Actually, you're going to be looking at me plugging the Raspberry Pi board onto my LED TV here at home. So you'll see how it boots, and then we're going to go through the first steps of the process together to set it up and have this new computer running. Amazing. I'll see you soon. Thank you guys. See you later. Okay, so continuing with setting up the Raspberry Pi, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be connecting it to my TV set, and I have an LED TV. It's a Roku TV here at the house, and I'm going to take that card that I just, I'm going to show it here to you. I had this card flashed with Raspberry Pi OS. So I'm going to take that micro SD card and I'm going to stick it into the Raspberry Pi. So that's my card, tiny, right there. I'm going to stick it onto the Raspberry Pi board. So here's my Pi. Right there, and on the back right here, it's when I put the SD card. So let's do it. I should be able to see. It's been, yeah, maybe like that, it's easier to see. The micro SD, it's on the board. And just to have, I have a couple of peripherals. I have a keyboard and a mouse. It's a Logitech keyboard and mouse, and for those to work I need to use a USB connector, and I'll
plug that onto the board as well. So see, there's a USB there. This is for my keyboard and mouse to function. And I'm using the USB 2 for this because it doesn't require a lot of speed, really. Okay, next step, just a quick check on these parts. I have the Pi connected to the LED. So you can see here, let me see if I can show you this well. I have the micro HDMI connected to the first port on the Pi. So that's the main port, and it's right next to the power source. And this is going to my TV on the back, connecting through a HDMI port on the back of this LED. So pretty standard type of port for most of the TVs out there. Again, this is for my keyboard and mouse, and obviously that's my power source. Now, the power is the last thing that I need to plug in because, and this is a great tip, it needs to boot. Remember that we are looking at a computer here, and mine doesn't have on and off switches. Depending where you purchase your Pi, it could come with a little switch that you can use, but mine is a little bit more, it's more plain. I don't have that. And it's not necessary. It's just something that you can add on, and it comes with some kits. But, so the good thing to know is that once I plug this thing, the system will boot, and I need to have everything connected first, and the last thing is the power. So I'm gonna power it up and show it to you what's happening on the screen, and then we're gonna do some basic setups in it. Cool, so we're doing this on an LED TV for the first time here. The system has booted and is asking me to click next to get started. So I'm using the USB mouse here, and it's a wireless, so it's a little bit awkward for me to be behind the camera, but I'll do my best. So I'm gonna click on next to continue the process. And the first thing it's asking me is to set the country. So the country in my case will be Brazil, because I'm here in Brazil. So I'm gonna choose it from the list, going up, yeah. And then automatically it sets my language as Brazilian Portuguese, and it gives me a time zone. So whatever you are, wherever you are, and whatever the language you prefer, you can choose that. Actually, I don't like, I'm kind of used to working in English, so I'm gonna check this box and that says use English language. And the time zone, I'm gonna change that to my state, Bahia. So the keyboard that I'm using, it's a Brazilian keyboard, but you may be using a US keyboard. If you are, you can check on that to have a proper keyboard setting. So with that in mind, I'm gonna click on next. So now it's setting the location. It's gonna take a few seconds. Now, next prompt. It's asking me for a password. So this is like my system password for whenever I log in to the computer. It comes with a standard password, which is Raspberry, and I'm gonna change it to something more personal. So I'm gonna type something here that I like, confirm, and then I can continue going next. Setup screen. So it's saying the desktop should fill the entire screen. Tick the box below if your screen shows a black border around the desktop, and mine actually does. So I'm gonna click on that so that it fills the whole screen. It should be doing that in a few seconds. I can select the Wi-Fi network, and this is super important because it's really cool that the Pi has like this super easy Wi-Fi and Bluetooth capacity to it. So I'm going to choose my Wi-Fi here at the house, and then it's asking me for a password for my Wi-Fi. So I'm gonna check that because I don't remember by heart. So I'm gonna check that password and I'll be right back and we'll continue. Okay, so continuing with this tutorial, I just put the password for my home network connection and I'm gonna click on next. Now it's connecting to my network. That could take a few seconds as well. Cool, I have connected to the network and now I have a prompt for update software. The operating system and applications will now be checked and updated if necessary. This may involve a large download. Press next to check and update software or skip to continue without checking. So do not skip. This is super important. Doing this kind of a updating right at the first boot, it's hugely, it's super useful. You get pretty much the operating system set with the stuff that you need. And so it's great to have something updated running, right? So I'm gonna click on next because I definitely want to do an update in my software. And it's gonna use my current wireless connection to update the program. And this will also take a few more seconds. Cool, now I hope you can see there it's downloading the updates and it's saying please wait. So this is a part that could take a little longer. So I'm just gonna sit here and wait until it downloads everything. Hey, so now I just wanted to show you something. It's been downloaded the software and it's going through the installation process now, and it's almost done. But I wanted to show you what's happening here on the board. The blinking green light firing up pretty quickly, going crazy here. It looks like the system now it's up to date, so we're ready to keep going. This is so cool. So now it has restarted and I don't know if you'll notice, but it fixed my screen. I had a black border around on the screen. Now it's completely full screen. I can look at the connection, the network connection icon to the top right of the screen, and it looks like it's already connected. So it seems to be great, and I'm looking forward to do some customization here. This is something I want you to do on your own as well. Like make it so that this is your, make it so that Raspberry Pi actually fits your tastes. So one thing that I'm gonna do is just to do a bit of customization here is to change the wallpaper image. So doing what he was asking me to do, if I click on the Raspberry Pi icon on the top left, I have a menu. And if I start going down, I'll see I have a few things in here already. I have programming tools. I have Genie and Tony Python IDE, which is for Python programming. I have internet connection. Raspberry Pi uses a browser named Chromium, which is a version of, it's very similar to Google Chrome. I have a VLC media player for sound and video. I have an image viewer for looking at pictures. I have some accessories. There's a help and some preferences. So now let's go to the appearance settings so I can do a quick customization here, and I'll change my desktop picture, wallpaper. I have a few options here. I'm going to choose one that I like, which is the first one, the aurora.jpg. So this is just showing you that there's a lot of customization that can be done in here. And this is kind of a fully customizable machine. So make it so that it looks the way you want it to look. So I'm happy with that. I'm going to click OK. Now I'm going to continue to do like super simple customization here, just to give you a sense of how customizable this could be. Hovering over the top menu bar and clicking with the right button of my mouse, I have a few options here. I'm going to go into panel settings, and here you can see that you can actually customize this panel. Right now I have it at the top. I could have it at the bottom of my interface if I want it, even left or right. I'll keep it at the top. I guess I'm kind of used to that. I can change the width of it and the height. Right now it's giving me 26 pixels. It's kind of tight, so I'm gonna increase that to 45. Looks good to me. I can also change the icon sizes. Yeah, 36 actually doesn't look bad. Yeah, just to make a small change to 40 pixels. And then I have like a possibility of changing the theme and the colors, and to have little applets on the bar. And so this is like a simple way to do a quick customization to that as well. No, I think I'm happy with that, so I'm gonna hit close. So let's see if the internet is really working, shall we? So it should be. I mean, I've done a ton of downloading already, but I'm gonna run the browser for the first time. So I'm gonna run Chromium just to test it. Just doing a little bit of thinking. Now look, this is Chromium. And it took me to the raspberrypi.org page. And just look at that. Pretty cool. Totally functional computer experience right here. It shows up as a tab on the menu bar, so good testing, so that works. Now, I'm close to being finished with my setup, and in the requirements for this mini workshop, the biggest goal is really to get Raspberry Pi working with the Raspberry Pi OS functioning, doing the updates, doing some kind of small customization to it so it looks the way you want it to look. What I want to do is to do a couple of things. I'm going to be installing a piece of software, kind of a similar version to the Microsoft Office package of softwares, something open source, which is much cooler. And I'll be installing that so you can actually do homework, do flowcharts, or you know, write an essay in using your Raspberry Pi. So I'm gonna do that installation here, and I'll do that installation through the terminal, what's called the command line. The command line, well, I'm gonna get there in a second. So what is the other thing that I wanna do? I also wanna do what is called a hello world. It's a way of showing that the machine, it's set up, it's connected, it's alive, and then it says hello world. So it's something that everybody that works with computing, or especially even programming, does as kind of a first step. Just quickly, again, going to that menu, the under preferences, this could be interesting. It has a section with recommended software. So you can actually add some software, and this is based on the packages that we updated. So you can actually do some installations right up front using this here. So this could be an interesting part of your customization as well. Here you can see all of the programs. I have stuff for education. I have games. So there's a Minecraft version for Raspberry Pi, which used to be very popular. A VNC viewer on the internet tab. The VNC viewer is for setting up your Raspberry Pi with a remote desktop connection, so you can actually, you don't have to have it actually connected to a monitor all the time. You can run it through a remote desktop using this little program. So I could be on my laptop and actually use the Pi without the need of having it connected to a monitor in the office. So yeah, this is what I wanted to show. I'm gonna install this, what's called LibreOffice. It's a complete office suite with word processor and spreadsheet. And I could install it from here, but I'll show you a cooler way, in my opinion. It's showing up on my bar at the top. I'm gonna click on that first icon to the right. So I hope that this doesn't look too scary for you, but this is the command line. What do I want to do here? I want to do one of the most useful and classic command lines for installation and the Pi, but I want to see if I can do something here first. I want to make my type a little bit bigger. So yeah, this is useful to you as well. On the menu, if I go to edit and then I choose preferences, I can do a bit of customization here as well. So this could be part of your customization exercise. And I'm gonna change the size of my font. Right now it's 10. I'm gonna change that to, let me see, maybe far away, 24. There. So I'm in the command line. So it shows Pi at Raspberry Pi, which is my user. So Raspberry Pi is the name of my, basically my root folder in here. So how do I run an installation through the command line? A few things need to be typed, and it'll be basically sudo to give me like sudo user capabilities, or super user capabilities, as I like to call it, apt, and then there's a space in between those words, install sudo apt install, another space, and then the name of the application. So the name of it is LibreOffice, all together. So sudo apt install, it's quite common command that you can use here to do installations directly from the shell, the command line. So I'm gonna hit enter and let it do its thing. So it's installing. It's asking me, do you want to continue? It shows that after this operation, 641 megabytes of additional disk space will be used. And that's not a problem. You may be asking, well, what is the disk space? Oh, yeah, it's my SD card. I have a 32 gig, so I have plenty of space. So I'm gonna do a yes to continue. So it's uppercase yes to continue, sorry. Uppercase yes to continue. And now it's installing. So let's just wait a little bit. Now it's gone through the first phase, it's going to the next step, and it's going through another progress bar right here. It's looking like, it kind of looks like nothing is happening, but there's a lot of things happening in the background. It's unpacking a lot of files. And it is done, folks. So I have installed LibreOffice. It has tons of commands that happen here just to get this installation done. I want to see if this is working. So I'm going to do a few hello worlds, and this will be part of the assignment for this workshop. I'm going to ask you to do a few hello worlds just to, give us some evidence that you were able to install and set up the Raspberry Pi at home. So there will be two hello worlds. One, it's basically would be done in LibreOffice, just opening up a document and typing hello world, and then take a picture of that and post it in your forum. And the second hello world would be happening here at in the command line. I'll show you what the command line could do. It could actually print a hello world here. And once you do that, also take a picture of that and post it in your forum. So those would be the hello worlds for this assignment. So I can close this window now, but I'm gonna do something cooler. I'm gonna type exit, enter, and it closes it. I have Office installed. So if I go to the Raspberry Pi menu on the top left, I see the option with Office, and I have all of these different Office applications that I can use. So you can do a lot of stuff. You can set up your Pi to be even like a portable computer, maybe something you can take to school after COVID, or take it to, to do some work someplace else. I'm going to open the LibreOffice Writer, which is kind of like my Word in here. And here we go. I'm going to type hello world, right? So this would be my first task. I'll make that much larger. About a 72. Hey, that's hello world. Take a picture of that, post it in the forum, and this is part 1 of my hello world. Let me go to part 2, which is in the command line again. Okay, and now for the second part of my hello world assignment, I'm going to use the command line to do that. I'm going to make it print, and oh, it's kind of funny. I see myself reflected in there. Yeah, okay, I don't like that so much. Okay, I'm going to use the terminal and ask the terminal to print on the screen hello world. Super exciting. So the command is echo, A-C-H-O, for printing, and then a space. And then in between quotations, I can write whatever I want to have printed. So I'm going to print hello space world. You put an exclamation there. Close the quotes and then enter. And there you have it. Hello world, it's been printed. Take a picture of that and add it to your forum as evidence that you have successfully completed this tutorial. Congratulations. Okay, so before I sign off, I almost forgot something. You want to shut down your Raspberry Pi, right? So it's been kind of a great experience here, but let me show you how to shut it down. I'll be going to the Raspberry Pi icon and then scrolling down, choose log out. And then I have options for shutting down, rebooting, or just logging out. I want to shut down the machine. So yeah, this will be officially the end of the tutorial. Bye.